Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Joust from Elaine Benfatto. And I hope I pronounced that right. All right, this is a neat grid pattern. It's actually a shape, that, well, I guess the decoration part is something that we have done, um, in the past. But this is it's a neat look. So many tangles, so many variations on similar themes. Okay, so I'm just going to do a four square, but a lot of times there's just enough different that it's good. All right, so whatever your grid is, great. We're going to start with just some curved lines. So going from one corner to the next in a nice curved line, like so. I'm going to go the same direction in each box. Then I'm going to turn my tile so that way I can have the same curve line. Because what you want to do, if this is the first video of mine that you watched, you plant your hand down, the heel of your hand, and then you draw like this. So just you get that natural curve. So we turn our tile. Number one, so it keeps our hand comfortable, but we have the advantage of having the stroke of the pen and that arc be pretty similar. So we get a little bit of consistency in there, except for right there. That looks like a straight line. It'll be okay. This is Zentangle. There's no such thing as a mistake. It'll all work out great. All right. Next step is, and this creates a really neat shape just as it is. You can see some meta patterns. At least I do. It just depends on where you focus your eyes. Could have fun with that. So maybe, yeah, some other time we might have some fun with that. Somebody else might have already done that and called it a different tangle. Who knows? But in each of these sections, kind of towards the top, we're gonna divide those in half. So from here, I'm just doing a curve line coming from that center, and here's what I'm gonna do. Same idea as I just mentioned with the curve line. I'm doing these curve lines that all go in the same direction. Then I'm turning it to do the same thing the other way. And for whatever reason, I like to draw these kind of towards me. I seem to change. Just depends on the tangle sometimes. All right. Then we have this is kind of a fan shape. Seems like there was a tangle called fans with a Z, FANZ. It starts off different, but it's similar in that we have this fan shape, and I believe it was on there. I'm gonna have to look it up now. We're gonna do some rounding on the edges of where all of these lines that we just made met that curve line. We're just gonna do some rounding. And the trick to rounding is you can kind of use like a micro takeoff and land motion, or it's just the concept. So the concept is I'm going to trace over a little bit of the line that I'm coming from, and then land by tracing over a little bit of the line that I'm landing on. And you can have these be as deep as you want. They can take whatever shape. I try to make them kind of small, except for right here. Apparently, I made that big. Sometimes the hand wants to do what the hand wants to do, and I don't argue with it a lot of times. I find that I always lose. So we're going to do this down here, and you see the neat shape that happens when we just round these corners in. And the nice thing about it too is if you like sometimes I'm not so great at the takeoff and land when it's something this small. But what you can do, a good course correct, and actually right here because my pen was being silly, you just trace over and redefine that line, just so that way it all kind of blends in together. It's so silly that, I remember when somebody said that the first time, and it was as if I needed permission to do it, because like, as if, I don't know, I get rules in my head that are really goofy, and who knows where they come from, but it's interesting. Okay, like that. And then, this is basically the tangle, except that if you take a look at go to the description section in the video, and if you have trouble finding that, depends on what you're on. I think it's more apparent if you're using it on a PC or a laptop or something. On the app, if you're on a mobile device, it's usually like a little V shape that is somewhere by the title of the video, I believe. And then you'll see the description section. Sometimes the way they put ads in, sometimes you end up clicking and it expands an ad, and it's just, oh, okay. But that's where it is. Click around till you find it. Click slowly so you don't accidentally click on something else. But the For More Inspiration link will take you to Elaine's Flickr account, and then you can see the step out in her hand and the samples. Because after this step, she has some fill in ideas, and I'm just going to do one. And actually, I'm doing one that's completely different than what she had come up with. And yeah, mostly because some of the ones that she came up with didn't incorporate having a line here. And in Zentangle, we do grids that you know we don't do erasing of like grid lines, things like that. We do use pencil, but if you're following the methodology of it, and things, one of the things that we don't do is set up grid lines and things, and then for them to be erased later. That's the wording from Rick and Maria. And like everything, it's not a hard and fast rule. There's no such thing as Zentangle police that that will come and judge you. But it's part of the methodology in that we're not looking for perfection. It's different. That's the why behind it. And I highly encourage you, if you're not familiar with some of these Zentangle philosophies, Rick and Maria have a couple books out. One is called The Book of Zentangle. The other is a Zentangle Primer. And I'm just putting lines in, and it disguises that grid line, and I really like that idea. But in both of those books, they explain the Zentangle philosophies, and I'm going to actually turn this so I can see my line better. And there is reasoning and thought behind everything, and it is really amazing. So, like I said, I like to do this because then it disguises that grid line. But you could also, because some of the things were like doing this shape, but you could do it from this point and then have these ends down here. And you can fill it in because there's other ways to disguise the grid line. Especially if it's inked in as we do. And then because I like it in these, I'm going to just put a little line dot because that's my favorite thing in the whole world. Zentangle wise. And same thing, I'm doing the sides that so I can have the curve in my hand being somewhat consistent, and then turning to do it in the other way. All right. And I just think that that's neat. So there's a lot of fun that you could have with this. Now let's do a little bit of shading. And especially something like this, you have to decide, well, what do you want to pop? Well, my thought is it's probably not these. That's just a nice texture. You could put well, no, you could put orbs in there, and if you did orbs and kind of filled in the little gaps, then that could also disguise that line. It is, the decorating phase is up to your imagination. You can also just leave it open. All right. Oh, right here. And let's bring that out just a little bit. And, oops, my shading. So both pencil technique and tortillon technique is to put the tip at the line that where you want the graphite. And when I do the tortillon part, I put it on the same. I put it on the line of graphite, but so that way I can either by using circles or back and forth motion. But I put it on the line that I don't want it to go over. So that way, and here's what the alternative is, like this. Oh, well, I could put it here, but that's just not going to work. Rick has said, put it on the line where you want it to be the darkest, and that's a good point as well. And then I also try to do all of them going the same direction and then move my tile, but apparently that is not working out so great today. I'm distracted by all of the awesomeness that's going on here. I think it looks so neat. It makes me, with these lines, it makes me think of um, like wood carvings or wood, when they carve out and print things. And it just, I don't know. I think it looks cool. And if you do it with a nice light touch, that kind of helps. I think I got them all. Yeah, I did. And as I said, let me move this, dim this light a little bit so you can see the contrast a little bit better. But you could also put a little graphite down here, some up here, give that a bendy look. I don't want to do too much because then it just ends up looking gray. I could make this a lot darker around this edge and then put some graphite around those edges just to give it some bend. But I kind of like it just like this. It's just neat. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, we'd love to have you click like. Feel free to share it. Leave comments. And if you liked it enough to see more, would love to have you be a subscriber to the channel. In the description section, I already mentioned links to step outs. I always do my own version. So I have that, and then the For More Inspiration link. Below that, ways to connect with me if you liked it enough to see more, and maybe you'd like to come and join me online for a Tangle session. I do free classes almost twice weekly. Thursdays, well, and depending on your time zone, Thursdays 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. my time zone here in Michigan in the United States. I do sessions where we would take something like this, and depending on if I think it would get done in an hour or not, we might pair it with something, or everybody's up to their own creativity. But we would take this, we would have fun with it and explore it, and or just play with it, learn it, explore it. That again, that's what it's all about. So we have fun. Would love to have you join us. I do have a one Tuesday. It's the third Tuesday of the month. I call it Tough Tangle Tuesday, where, as the name describes, they're a little bit tougher in one way, shape, form, or another. And that one is free also, and the other ones have a fee, or are I do have one that's a club member exclusive. All that information is on my website, and you can feel free to contact me if you have trouble finding anything, or if you have questions. Would love to answer. So with that, thanks so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.